The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning. It came without warning, its hull gleaming like polished silver under the sun. World leaders scrambled to emergency meetings, while citizens looked up at the sky in fear and wonder. John Miller watched the news from his apartment in Washington, D.C. As a former Navy SEAL with diplomatic training, he knew he might be called upon. His phone rang within the hour. "Miller," he answered, "this is General Hampton. Your country needs you. A car will pick you up in 30 minutes. True to the general's word, a black SUV arrived at John's building. The driver took him to an underground facility beneath the Pentagon where officials from every major nation had gathered. Susan Carter, the newly appointed Secretary General of the hastily formed United Earth Defense Initiative, stood at the center of the room. "Mr. Miller," she said, extending her hand. "Thank you for coming. We need someone with your unique background." John shook her hand. "What exactly is happening?" Susan gestured to the large screen on the wall. It showed the alien vessel in orbit. "They've been broadcasting a message in over 50 Earth languages. They call themselves the Galactic Council, a federation of 37 advanced species. They want to establish diplomatic relations." "And you want me to be the diplomat?" John asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," Susan replied, "but not the kind they're expecting." The room fell silent as Susan explained the plan. Earth would not respond immediately to the Council's messages. Instead, they would gather information, assess the aliens' true intentions, and prepare for all possibilities. "Something about this feels wrong," said William Grant, the newly appointed head of the UEDI military division. "Why would advanced aliens want relations with us? We haven't even colonized our own moon permanently yet." John nodded in agreement. "In my experience, when someone much stronger than you offers friendship out of nowhere, they usually want something." Above the Earth, aboard the Council vessel, Ambassador Zixtar clicked his mandibles in frustration. The tall insectoid alien paced around the communication center. "Still no response from the humans," he said to his colleague, the blue-skinned, aquatic diplomat Blul floated in his water tank, his large eyes blinking slowly. "Patience, Ambassador. This species is young. Perhaps their communication technology is limited." Zixtar stopped pacing. "Our scans show they have more than adequate technology to receive and respond to our messages. This is something else. It's almost as if they're ignoring us." "Impossible," Blul replied. "No species has ever ignored first contact. It goes against all biological imperatives of curiosity." Back on Earth, Lisa Blackwood, the top cryptologist at UEDI, worked tirelessly to decode the alien transmissions. Beyond the public broadcast, she discovered encrypted communications between the Council ship and somewhere deep in space. "They're reporting back to their leadership," Lisa told Susan and John during an emergency meeting. "I haven't cracked the code completely, but I've found repeated mentions of resource evaluation and species classification." John frowned. "That doesn't sound like friendship to me." Susan turned to the representatives from various Earth nations. "We maintain radio silence. Meanwhile, every major power will begin building defenses based on what we can learn from scanning their technology." For the next 3 weeks, the Council ship continued broadcasting messages, each one becoming slightly more urgent than the last. Earth remained silent. Underground facilities across the globe hummed with activity as scientists worked to understand the alien technology from long-range scans. Engineers began building prototypes of weapons and shields based on their findings. "Their hull material is like nothing we've seen before," explained Ben Harris, lead engineer at the North American facility. "But we're making progress on replicating similar properties using our own materials." Meanwhile, John Miller spent his days studying the Council's broadcast messages, looking for hidden meanings or threats. "They keep using the phrase, mutually beneficial relationship," he told Susan during their daily briefing. "But they never specify what benefits we would get. Only vague promises of technological advancement and galactic protection." Susan nodded thoughtfully. "Protection from what, I wonder?" By the 4th week, the Council sent a smaller vessel toward Earth. It stopped in low orbit, broadcasting a new message. "We request permission to land and meet with your leaders. Please respond." Again, Earth said nothing. Aboard the main council, ship Ambassador Zixtar was now in a state of complete confusion. "This is unprecedented," he chittered to the council's high command during an emergency transmission. "The humans show all signs of an advanced civilization. They have global communication networks, space exploration capabilities, and complex social structures. Yet they refuse to acknowledge our presence." The High Commander's hologram flickered as the ancient being spoke. "Perhaps their silence is an answer in itself, Ambassador. Continue monitoring and increase scan intensity. If they won't tell us about themselves, we must learn through observation." Unbeknownst to the Council, Earth's scientists had detected and analyzed their scanning technology. Within days, they developed methods to feed false information to the alien scans, making Earth appear less developed than it truly was. "Let them think we're still figuring out basic space travel," William Grant said with a grim smile as he watched the misinformation being transmitted to the alien scanners. 1 month after first contact, the Council took a more aggressive approach. Their smaller vessel descended further, hovering over the Atlantic Ocean in a clear show of their advanced technology. World leaders gathered once more at the UEDI headquarters. "They're trying to intimidate us," John observed. "Classic power play. Show your strength and wait for submission." Susan stood before the assembly, her face determined. "We will not be intimidated, and we will not submit. Our silence has clearly confused them, which gives us an advantage. We'll continue building our defenses while learning everything we can about them." In orbit, Diplomat Bluel reviewed the reports with growing concern. "I believe we may have miscalculated, Ambassador. The humans' behavior suggests they may have encountered other species before." "Impossible," Zixtar replied. "Our records show no other Council species has visited this sector." Bluel's fins rippled thoughtfully. "Perhaps non-Council species, then? There are the drifters who don't share their exploration data." For the first time, uncertainty crept into the Council's plans. They had encountered thousands of emerging civilizations over millennia, and all had followed predictable patterns of response. The humans were different. As Earth prepared in silence, the Council began to panic. Their standard protocols were failing. Their usual methods of establishing dominance through peaceful means weren't working. And in underground facilities across Earth, the first human starships designed for defense were taking shape, built with technology the Council believed impossible for humans to possess. The silent treatment had begun, and humanity was writing its own rules for first contact. 3 months passed. Earth maintained complete silence toward the Galactic Council. The alien ships remained in orbit, continuing to send messages that went unanswered. Meanwhile, humanity worked quietly, preparing for whatever might come next. Lisa Blackwood had not slept properly in weeks. The cryptologist's office walls were covered with printouts of alien communication patterns. Coffee cups littered her desk as she typed frantically on her keyboard. Then it happened. "I'm in," she whispered, staring at her screen in disbelief. After months of work, she had cracked the Council's secure communications. Within an hour, she sat in a meeting room with John Miller, Susan Carter, and William Grant. The atmosphere was tense as Lisa connected her laptop to the main screen. "I managed to decode their internal messages," she explained. "What I found isn't good." She pulled up a translated document titled Resource Extraction Protocols for Class 3 Planets. Earth was listed as a Class 3 planet. According to their classification system, Lisa continued, Class 3 means a planet with abundant resources but occupied by a species that hasn't developed interstellar travel. Their policy is to establish diplomatic relations, sign treaties for mutual protection, and then gradually begin extracting resources. John crossed his arms. "Let me guess. The treaties aren't so mutual." Lisa nodded. "Exactly. Look at this." She displayed another document showing a timeline for a planet called Nebulon 5. First contact, diplomatic missions, threat assessment, treaty signing, and then within 50 years, the planet was being mined extensively while the native population was relocated to preservation zones. Susan's face hardened. "They're not diplomats. They're conquerors with good manners." "There's more," Lisa said. I found references to other species that initially refused contact. The Council classified them as non-compliant until after military demonstrations, at which point they suddenly consented to protectorate status. William Grant stood up. They threaten military action if planets don't cooperate. Which explains why they're so confused by our silence, John added. We're not following their script. In orbit above Earth, the Council ships had increased to 3. Ambassador Zixtar called an emergency meeting with the Council representatives aboard. It has been 3 Earth months, the insectoid diplomat said, his voice clicking with stress. Still no response to any of our communications. Our scans show they are watching us, but they refuse to engage. Diplomat Blule floated in his water tank looking troubled. This behavior has no precedent in our records. Even the most reclusive species responded within days, if only to tell us to leave. A new voice joined the conversation. General Kral, a tall reptilian being, had arrived from Council headquarters a week earlier. Perhaps it is time for a demonstration of Council authority, he suggested. A small display of our military capabilities might encourage communication. Blule's fins rippled in disagreement. Or it might provoke unnecessary conflict. We need the High Council's approval before any show of force. Back on Earth, in a secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, William Grant observed the first human FTL-capable vessel being completed. The ship, named Defiance, looked unlike any human craft before it. Its design incorporated elements of reverse-engineered alien technology gleaned from careful observation of the Council ships. How soon can it be ready for testing? William asked the chief engineer. 2 weeks, came the reply. But we'll need a pilot with exceptional skills. William nodded. I have someone in mind. In Washington, John Miller and Susan Carter met with world leaders to share Lisa's findings. The revelation of the Council's true intentions united Earth's nations like nothing before. We now know what they want, Susan told the assembly. They see Earth as a resource to be harvested. Their diplomacy is merely the first step toward control. One of the leaders raised a hand. But how long can we maintain silence? They must be growing impatient. John stepped forward. That's counting on. Their playbook only works if we follow it. By doing nothing, we're forcing them to make the next move without knowing our capabilities. Lisa continued to monitor Council communications. One night she discovered something that made her immediately call for an emergency meeting. They're discussing us at the highest levels now, she reported, displaying a message from the Council's central government. Our behavior has triggered an emergency session. They're calling us the human problem. Susan couldn't help smiling slightly. Good. The longer they remain confused, the more time we have to prepare. In orbit, Ambassador Zixtar received a message from the Galactic Council's central government. The holographic image of High Counselor Vexmore, an ancient being with glowing eyes, appeared before him. This situation is unprecedented, Vexmore stated. In 10,000 years of first contacts, no species has ever completely ignored us. It suggests either extraordinary fear or extraordinary confidence. Zixtar's antennae twitched nervously. What are your orders, High Counselor? Continue observation. Increase scan intensity to maximum levels. We must understand what we are dealing with before we proceed. Unknown to the Council, Earth scientists had detected the increased scans and adjusted their countermeasures. The aliens would see only what humans wanted them to see. William Grant stood in the control room as Daniel Rodriguez, Earth's top test pilot, prepared to take the Defiance on its first short FTL jump. Remember, William said through the communication system, just to the moon and back. We need to test the drive under controlled conditions. Daniel's voice came through clearly, excitement evident despite his professional tone. Understood. Sir, FTL systems charging. The ship hummed with energy as the revolutionary drive engaged. In a flash of light, the Defiance disappeared from Earth orbit. Seconds later, it reappeared precisely at the designated coordinates near the moon. FTL jump successful, Daniel reported. All systems functioning normally. William allowed himself a brief smile. Excellent. Return to base using standard propulsion. We don't want to give away our capabilities yet. As Earth's first FTL ship quietly returned to its underwater hangar, Ambassador Zixtar declared an emergency session with all council representatives present. "We must address the human problem immediately," he announced. Their continued silence threatens the very foundations of our diplomatic protocols. If one species can simply ignore us, others might follow. Diplomat Blule spoke thoughtfully. "Perhaps we should consider that their silence is a form of communication in itself. What if they know something about us that we don't realize?" "General," Krall scoffed, "impossible. They are primitives compared to us." Meanwhile, Earth prepared for its next move. The silent treatment had bought humanity valuable time. Now, with their first FTL ship successfully tested and more under construction, they were almost ready to step onto the galactic stage, but on their own terms, not the Council's. The great chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from all 37 member species had gathered for an emergency session. At the center of the massive circular room stood Ambassador Zixtar, his insect-like form dwarfed by the grandeur around him. "Esteemed members of the Council," he began, his translator converting his clicks and chirps into the standard galactic language. "I bring disturbing news from the Sol system. The species known as humans continues to ignore all diplomatic outreach." Murmurs spread through the assembly. A large, red-skinned alien with bony ridges rose from his seat. This was Gronk, leader of the warlike Krog. "This is unacceptable," Gronk growled. "No primitive species may disrespect the Council. I propose immediate military action to show humans their place in the galactic order." Several representatives shouted their agreement, but a soft blue light illuminated another section of the chamber. An ancient being seemingly made of light and mist took form. This was Elder Tholian of the Eldarin, one of the oldest species in the galaxy. Hasty action would be unwise. The Elder's gentle voice somehow carried throughout the chamber. "In 10,000 years of Council history, no species has ever completely refused contact. This unusual behavior suggests the humans either know something we don't, or they possess capabilities we haven't detected." The Council chamber fell silent as the representatives considered this possibility. Back on Earth, the United Earth Defense Initiative had expanded its operations. 10 underwater facilities now housed a growing fleet of 50 FTL-capable warships. William Grant walked alongside Susan Carter through the largest facility, located deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. "Production is ahead of schedule," William reported. "Each ship incorporates improvements based on what we've learned from the Council's technology." Susan nodded approvingly. "And the crews?" "Training is intensive. Captain Daniel Rodriguez has proven to be an exceptional leader for our flagship, the Defiance." They entered a large control room where Lisa Blackwood was monitoring Council communications. "You need to see this," Lisa said, not looking up from her screens. "The Council just held an emergency session about us. I've decoded most of the discussion." Susan and William gathered around as Lisa played the translation. They listened intently to the debate about Earth. "Interesting," Susan said when the recording finished. "Not all of them want to use force." William pointed to a section of the transcript. "This Elder Tholian seems concerned about us, as if we might be a threat. Or perhaps he's just wiser than the others," Susan suggested. "Either way, it gives us an opportunity." John Miller entered the room carrying a data tablet. "We've found something you need to see." He placed the tablet on the table, displaying information Lisa had extracted from Council records. "Most species the Council encounters follow the same pattern," John explained. "First contact, diplomatic relations, treaties, then gradual loss of independence. But there are a few exceptions, species that are listed as non-Council but still appear in their star charts." Lisa highlighted one entry. "This species, the Thalon, caught my attention. They're listed as under protective oversight, but the Council ships around their planet are classified as resource extraction vessels." Susan's eyes narrowed. "Sounds like they're being exploited." John nodded. "And their planet is relatively close to our solar system, only 20 light-years away." Susan was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then she looked at William. "Is the Defiance Ready for a longer mission? Yes. Captain Rodriguez has successfully completed 3 test jumps to the outer solar system. Good, Susan said decisively. I think it's time we revealed ourselves, but not to the Council. Let's see what the Thalon have to say about their protectors. In the Council chamber, the debate continued. Ambassador Zixtar displayed scan data from Earth. Our observations show them to be technologically advanced, but still confined to their solar system. They have primitive space stations and have visited their moon, but nothing more. The false data fed to the Council's scanners was working perfectly. General Krall of the Council Military Division scoffed. They pose no threat. A single battlecruiser could subdue their entire planet. Elder Tholian's form shimmered with concern. I advise caution. There is something unusual about these humans. Enough debate, declared High Counselor Vexmore. We will send a military escort with our next diplomatic mission. If the humans continue to ignore us, we will provide a demonstration of power sufficient to encourage cooperation. The vote was taken. The majority supported the show of force. Meanwhile, aboard the Defiance, Captain Daniel Rodriguez briefed his crew on their mission. We will be the first humans to travel beyond our solar system, he told the assembled men and women. Our destination is the Thalon homeworld. Our mission is to make first contact, not with the Council, but with a species that may be suffering under their rule. Karen Foster, the ship's chief diplomat, stood beside him. Remember, we know very little about the Thalon. They may look nothing like us and may have a completely different culture, but we share something important, the Council's unwanted attention. The crew listened intently as Daniel continued. This is a reconnaissance mission. We observe, we make contact if possible, and we return with information. No engagement with Council forces unless absolutely necessary. As final preparations were made, Susan Carter met privately with Daniel and Karen. This mission could change everything, she said. If the Thalon confirm our suspicions about the Council, it will justify our continued resistance. Daniel nodded. And if they're truly being exploited, we might have found our first ally. Just be careful, Susan warned. The Council believes we're confined to our solar system. The moment you jump to Thalon space, that illusion is broken. The next day, the Defiance prepared for departure. The sleek black vessel, built with a combination of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien technology, hummed with power in its underwater dock. The bay doors above opened, revealing the ocean surface far above. All systems ready, reported the ship's engineer. FTL drive charged and coordinates locked. Daniel sat in the captain's chair, his expression determined. Take us up. The Defiance rose through the water and broke the surface. Within seconds, it reached the upper atmosphere, undetected by the Council ship still orbiting Earth. We're clear, Daniel announced. Engage FTL drive. In a flash of blue light, the Defiance disappeared from Earth space, leaving only a brief energy signature that the Council ships would detect several minutes later. By then, humanity's first interstellar vessel would be well on its way to meeting another alien species, one that might become either a valuable ally or another potential threat. The Defiance emerged from FTL travel near the edge of the Thalon star system. The bridge crew looked in awe at the view screen showing their first alien solar system. A blue-green planet orbited a yellow star similar to Earth's sun. Scans detect artificial structures in orbit and on the planet's surface, reported the ship's science officer. And there are 3 larger ships in high orbit. Design matches Council vessels. Captain Daniel Rodriguez studied the data. Keep us at this distance for now. Passive scans only. We don't want to announce our presence just yet. Karen Foster joined him at the command console. The Thalon planet looks a lot like Earth. Which explains the Council's interest, Daniel replied. Can we get any communication signals? The communications officer worked at her station. Yes, Captain. I'm picking up broadcast from the planet. Translating now. Minutes later, the bridge speakers played translated Thalon voices. The language was strange but understandable through their advanced translation software. Another shipment demanded by next cycle. Inadequate housing for displaced populations. Mining accidents increasing. Karen's face showed concern. They sound like they're suffering. And confirming our suspicions about the council, Daniel added. He made a decision. Let's move closer. Keep us on the far side of the planet from those council ships. The Defiant slowly approached the Thalon world, staying out of sight of the council vessels. As they entered orbit, they got their first look at the Thalon people through intercepted video broadcasts. The aliens were tall, slender beings with pale blue skin and large eyes. They moved with grace despite their apparent distress in the footage. They're being forced to mine their own planet's resources, Karen said, watching the transmissions. Those council ships are taking regular shipments. Daniel nodded grimly. Time to make contact. Find me a government or resistance leader we can speak with privately. The communications team worked quickly, sorting through thousands of Thalon transmissions until they found what appeared to be encrypted rebel communications. Using this information, they located a hidden facility on the planet's surface away from council oversight. We've found a potential contact, the communications officer announced. Someone named Vila, who seems to be leading a resistance movement. Daniel looked at Karen. You're up. Send a message. Keep it simple. Karen composed a careful greeting. People of Thalon, we are humans from Earth. We come in peace, seeking to speak with Vila. We are not allied with the Galactic Council. They sent the message on the encrypted channel and waited. 10 minutes later, they received a response. Humans? We know of no such species. How did you find this channel? Are you truly not with the Council? Karen replied. We discovered your situation by decoding Council records. Like you, we have been approached by them. Unlike you, we have refused all contact. We believe the Council's true intentions are exploitation, not friendship. After a tense wait, a new message arrived. Landing coordinates attached. Come with only 2 representatives. Be warned that we are armed and will defend ourselves if necessary. Daniel and Karen prepared for the mission. They would take a small shuttle to the surface while the Defiants remained in orbit, ready to extract them if needed. Remember, Daniel told the bridge crew before departing, if Council ships detect us, withdraw to the edge of the system. Don't engage unless absolutely necessary. The shuttle descended through the Thalon atmosphere, following the provided coordinates to a mountainous region. They landed in a small clearing surrounded by dense, purple-leafed vegetation. As they stepped out, 5 Thalon emerged from the trees holding weapons that looked advanced even by human standards. I am Vila, said the tallest of the group, stepping forward. The translator in Karen's ear converted the strange sounds to English. You claim to be from a world called Earth, a world that has refused Council diplomacy. This we find difficult to believe. Karen nodded respectfully. I understand your skepticism. We discovered the Council's patterns by monitoring their communications. They approached Earth 4 months ago, but we chose not to respond. Vila's large eyes widened. You ignored them? And they have not taken action against you? Not yet, Daniel replied. They seem confused by our silence. Vila gestured for them to follow. Come. It is not safe here. They were led through the forest to a hidden entrance in the mountainside. Inside was a large cavern filled with Thalon technology and about 50 of the blue-skinned aliens, all watching the humans with curiosity and suspicion. 10 cycles ago, Vila explained as they walked, the Council came with promises of advancement and protection. Our leaders signed their treaties, impressed by their technology and apparent generosity. A bitter expression crossed Vila's face. Within 2 cycles, they began advising on resource management. Then they established administrative zones, where our people were relocated. Now they control our major cities and mining operations. Those who resist are called terrorists. Daniel and Karen exchanged glances. It matched exactly what they had feared. How many other species has this happened to? Karen asked. Many, Vila replied. We have heard stories from Council workers. Some planets resist longer than others, but the result is always the same. Daniel leaned forward. What if there was another way? What if you had allies? Before Vila could respond, a young Thalon rushed into the chamber. Council ships. They've changed orbit and are scanning this region. Vila turned to the humans with suspicion. Did they follow you? Impossible, Daniel said. Our technology masks our approach. He tapped his communication device. Defiance, status report. The ship's response came immediately. Captain, 3 council vessels have changed position. They appear to be conducting a routine patrol, but they're heading toward your location. There's a 4th ship that just arrived in the system. Vila's expression hardened. This is the monthly inspection. They search for resistance bases. You must leave now. Come with us, Karen said suddenly. Not all of you, but those who wish to. We can offer refuge on Earth. Murmurs spread through the gathered Thalon. Vila looked shocked. You would take in refugees? Strangers from another world? Daniel nodded. Those who want to come. We need to learn more about the Council and you need safe haven. We can help each other. Vila turned to the assembled Thalon and spoke rapidly in their native language. After a brief discussion, 20 Thalon stepped forward. These 20 will go, Vila said. I must stay with the resistance. But they can tell your people everything about the Council and its methods. As they prepared to leave, the ground shook slightly. Outside, Council ships were moving into position above the region. We need to move quickly, Daniel urged. Our shuttle can take all of you, but we must reach it before those ships detect it. As they hurried through the forest back toward the landing site, a bright light suddenly illuminated the area. A Council shuttle hovered overhead, its searchlight scanning the trees. Freeze, Daniel whispered. Their sensors might not distinguish between us and the vegetation if we don't move. The Council shuttle moved slowly overhead, its light passing just meters from their position. For a tense moment, it seemed to pause. Then it continued onward, moving toward another section of the forest. Now, Daniel said. Move quickly but quietly. They reached the human shuttle and boarded rapidly. Daniel took the controls while Karen helped the Thalon refugees secure themselves. Defiance, Daniel called. We're coming up with guests, 20 Thalon refugees. Prepare for immediate departure once we're aboard. The shuttle lifted off, keeping low among the mountain peaks to avoid detection. As they accelerated upward, the ship's sensors gave a warning. Council vessel approaching, the computer announced. We have been detected. The shuttle raced toward space with Council ships in pursuit. Daniel pushed the engines to their limits as they broke through the atmosphere. Defiance, we need immediate pickup, Daniel called. We have Council vessels on our tail. Copy that, Captain, came the reply. Moving to intercept, prepare for emergency docking. The Defiance appeared above them, its sleek black hull blocking out the stars. The shuttle bay doors opened as they approached. Hold on, Daniel warned everyone as he aimed for the opening. The shuttle shook violently as a warning shot from the Council ship passed nearby. With expert precision, Daniel guided the shuttle into the Defiance's bay. The doors closed behind them just as another energy blast struck the larger ship's hull. Minimal damage to outer shields, reported the Defiance's engineer over the intercom. But there are 3 Council warships moving to surround us. Daniel and Karen rushed to the bridge with several Thalon following behind. The main screen showed their situation. The Defiance was being circled by 3 Council vessels, each significantly larger than the human ship. This is Council Enforcer Draz, came a transmission. Unknown vessel, you have illegally interfered with a protected species. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Daniel took his captain's chair. Charge FTL drive. Plot a course. Back to Earth. The drive needs 3 minutes to fully charge, his navigator replied nervously. Then we need to buy 3 minutes, Daniel said. He turned to Karen. Let's finally talk to the Council. Audio only. Karen nodded and opened a channel. This is Captain Daniel Rodriguez of the Earth vessel Defiance. We deny any wrongdoing. The Thalon aboard our ship have requested asylum from your exploitation. There was a moment of silence before the reply came. Earth vessel? Impossible. Humans have no FTL capability. Daniel allowed himself a small smile. Clearly your intelligence is flawed. We not only have FTL capability, but we've also been monitoring your communications for months. Another voice cut in on the council transmission. This one was higher in authority, filled with both anger and confusion. This is High Commander Vex Vor. You will stand down immediately. Earth has been classified as a non-spacefaring civilization. Your presence here violates multiple council protocols. No, Daniel replied firmly. Your exploitation of the Thalon violates basic decency. We've seen what happens to species that accept your diplomacy. Earth will never submit to your false treaties. The Defiance shuddered as the council ships fired warning shots around them, creating a barrier of energy. FTL drive at 60%, the navigator reported. Shields holding, added the tactical officer. But they're not using full weapons. These are just warnings. Daniel turned to the Thalon who had followed them to the bridge. Does the council have a weakness? Anything we can use to buy time? One of the Thalon, a female named Lilia, stepped forward. Their ships rely on linked shield systems. If you send a specific energy pulse at the exact frequency of their shields, it can cause temporary disruption. Can you give us that frequency? Daniel asked. Lilia moved to a console and entered a series of numbers. This should work. Daniel nodded to his weapons officer. Send a pulse at that frequency. Target the lead ship's communication array. We don't want to hurt anyone, just disable their coordination. The Defiance fired a blue beam that hit the lead council ship. Immediately, the energy barrier around them flickered. FTL at 80%, reported the navigator. The council ships regrouped, adjusting their formation. You have committed an act of aggression against the Galactic Council. Vexvor's voice boomed over the communication system. This will be reported to your leaders. Karen leaned toward Daniel. They still think we have traditional leadership that they can intimidate. Daniel nodded and replied to the council. Our leaders already know the truth about you. That's why Earth has refused all contact. We will not be exploited like the others. The council ships began to power up their main weapons. FTL ready, called the navigator. Jump now, Daniel ordered. The Defiance disappeared in a flash of light just as the council ships fired, their energy weapons passing through empty space. 3 days later, the Defiance returned to Earth orbit. The UEDI headquarters buzzed with activity as the Thalon refugees were welcomed and debriefed. Susan Carter, John Miller, and William Grant met with Daniel and Karen in the main conference room. You've done something incredible, Susan told them. First contact with another species, and you brought back living proof of the Council's true nature. John nodded in agreement. The Thalon have already provided invaluable information about Council technology and tactics. But we've also revealed ourselves, William pointed out. The Council now knows we have FTL capability. Daniel nodded. They were shocked. Their whole approach relies on technological superiority to intimidate new species. Then we've changed the game, Susan said. And based on what the Thalon have told us, we're not the only species who could resist, just the first to do so successfully. In the Galactic Council's central chamber, emergency alarms sounded as representatives from all 37 species gathered. High Counselor Vexmore called the session to order. We face an unprecedented situation, Vexmore announced. The species, known as humans, have not only refused all diplomatic contact, but have now interfered with a council protectorate. They possess technology we believed was beyond their capability, and have openly defied our authority. Ambassador Zixtar stepped forward. The humans must be punished immediately. We must assemble our largest battle fleet and make an example of Earth. Elder Tholian's glowing form pulsed with concern. I advised caution before, and now we see why. These humans are unlike any species we have encountered. Aggression may not be wise. The Council's authority must be maintained, General Krull insisted. I have already ordered the assembly of our largest battle fleet in 3,000 years. We will show these humans the consequences of defiance. As the Council prepared for war, Earth continued to build its defenses. The Thalon refugees worked alongside human engineers, improving shield technology and weapon systems. Within weeks, Earth's fleet had grown to over 200 vessels. In UEDI headquarters, Paul Jackson, the newly appointed Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, presented the final defense plan to world leaders. The Council believes they will surprise us with overwhelming force, he explained. But thanks to our continued monitoring of their communications, we know exactly when and where they will arrive. We'll be ready. Susan Carter looked at the assembled leaders. For months, we've refused to speak to the Council. When they arrive with their battle fleet, it will be time to finally deliver our message. 2 weeks later, the largest Council fleet ever assembled entered the Sol system. Over 500 warships approached Earth, led by the massive dreadnought carrying High Counselor Vexmore himself. Transmit the ultimatum, Vexmore ordered. The humans will have 1 hour to surrender before we begin our demonstration of power. The message was sent, but Earth remained silent. The Council fleet moved closer, preparing their weapons. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, hundreds of human ships appeared surrounding the Council fleet in a perfect formation. The Council commanders stared in shock at their sensors. Impossible, Vexmore whispered. Where did they come from? At that moment, all Council ships received the same transmission. It was the first and only message humanity would ever send to the Galactic Council. Paul Jackson's face appeared on screens throughout the Council fleet as he spoke the words that would change the galaxy forever. We know your history. We know your methods. We refuse your diplomacy. We offer ours instead.